Hey, Mike.
Hi, Heather. How
How
are
you?
you?
Good,
I'm
thanks.
good.
Anything new?
Not too much. Let's see. What have I done since the last live stream? Um, I did some hikes and um, I did a, a canyoneering training course with a company called Uber Adventures,
Ooh,
and they have
let's get
four
into
levels of
this.
courses. So I passed their level two, their advanced canyoneering course. So,
Wow.
if anyone was looking to improve their canyoneering skills, um, I would highly recommend them. They're a very well known and very respected, good school. They teach you a lot of stuff. And to be honest, maybe I should have started with the level one, but I thought I already knew a lot of stuff and I didn't want to be bored. So I jumped right into level two. But clearly, they do teach some stuff in level one that I didn't know, but nevertheless, I was fine with level two and learned a lot. And while I would probably, if they tested me right now, I probably wouldn't be very proud of my score, but some of it sank in, and I kind of know other like types of knots and ways of doing things now that I didn't before, and maybe I couldn't replicate it perfectly, but yeah, so I did that last weekend out by Lake Mead.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yep, so Uber Adventures gets a thumbs up.
Woo. So, quick question about Lake Mead. How's the water level? I mean, how low is it?
Yeah, I can't tell you a number of feet, but it still keeps dropping, and it's obvious just by looking at it, like that marina. Seems like it's almost like there's almost going to be no water between the marina and that island offshore from it pretty soon.
Mm, that's a shame.
Yep, well, it is what it is, and hopefully the government will have to take some drastic action, and hopefully sooner rather than later, because the more they put it off, the more drastic it will have to be.
Yeah. Do we have any trivia for today?
We do. We will be paying respects to Bob McGrath. Who is he, you might ask? He played the character of Bob on Sesame Street. He was an original cast member when it started in 1969 when I was a fan of the show. And he was the music teacher, and he often would start a conversation and then it would segue into a song, and he was a great singer and taught a lot about the love of music on the show.
Should we take him for inspiration and start singing just for the heck of it and have this be like a musical, one of those musical numbers?
Well, one of my trivia questions is to name the first is to do the first five lines of the Sesame
Oh,
Street song. Do you
so
want
we
to?
are going to have music.
Can you sing the first five lines?
Um, hey, look here, we are somewhere. Can you guess where we are? Right here.
You have the melody right, but the words were off. Then,
Just a
yeah,
little.
well, no, I mean, that was a very good improvisation of the song. Um, but let me give you a hint. The first letter in the song is Sunny.
Okay, cool. So if you guys know the words to the song, put it in the chat. Don't use the words I used because they were wrong.
Yep, so there's
And
going to be a whole trivia challenge, but we may as well start with that one. And as usual, searching is not allowed. And I ask about this in today's newsletter. So please recuse yourself if you already read today's newsletter.
now, if people aren't subscribed to your newsletter, where can they go and how can they become subscribed to it?
At the bottom of wizardofodds.com, there is a box that says, let me see exactly how it's phrased. So you scroll to the bottom, and there's a there's 4 boxes at the bottom. And the third one from the left says, sign up. Enter your email address to receive our weekly newsletter and other special announcements. But you actually don't need to sign up to read the newsletters, because you can click where it starts by saying weekly newsletter, and that will show you a whole history of old ones going back years.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would like to continue our tradition by starting the show with a magic trick.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I have a simple box here. And in the box, I have a playing card, the 5 of hearts. So you would take it out, and it would invite a spectator to rip up the card. And they're going to be hesitant to do it, but you say, go ahead, it's fine. This is just a cheap dollar store card anyway. So it's nice, and it rips up nice and easily. And trust me, there's no sleight of hand here. You really can ask anybody to do this. And then you say, okay, put them back in the card. And then you close the lid, and then you get a magic wand, but I will use a magic pencil for this example. And then you tap it, 1, 2, 3, abracadabra, say whatever magic words you want, and then magically it reappears into a fully formed card.
Wow.
And I will explain how to do that at the end of the show.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. That's cool.
Okay, let's see if we have anyone who knows the lyrics of the Sesame Street song.
Okay, so it looks like we have one person who got it, and it was Shane. And Shane says, sunny day, sweeping the clouds away, on my way to where the air is sweet.
Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Yep, yay, good job, Shane.
Very nice. So does he get 2 points for that, or 1 point?
Just 1.
Okay. So what is our next trivia question?
Okay, our next trivia question is, what is Bert's favorite letter?
So if you know the answer to that, put it in the chat. And I am going to say it's B for bathtubs.
B for bathtubs. Your guess is duly noted. But while we're waiting, let's do a question from the peanut gallery.
Sounds good. So our first question comes from Paul. Can you help us understand the Nevada revenue reports that show win percentage for each game? Is this the casino hold? If so, why are tables so high, and why are nickel slots better than dollars?
Okay, well, first of all, at the Nevada Gaming Control website, you can get monthly, quarterly, and annual revenue reports. So for the machine games like slots, in fact, I think it's just slots, and they count everything that plugs in, like video poker and Keno, as a slot. The way they calculate that return or house advantage is simply, I believe they do it by house advantage, is what percentage of all the money bet does the casino keep? And then there's another breakdown for table games like 21 games and roulette and craps and several other ones. And the way they do that one is called the hold. And that is how much money does the casino keep relative to all the money that players convert to chips at the beginning of the game. So because players tend to circulate the same money back and forth, the hold tends to be pretty high, like 25%. So for example, if someone buys in at the table for $400 and plays for an hour and then leaves with $300, the hold on that play would have been 25%, even though the player probably bet way more than $400, probably like $10,000. And that's how they do it. And normally the higher the denomination, the lower the house advantage, but if that's not the case in a particular report, I think it was just a statistical aberration.
Okay. Should we see if anyone got the trivia question?
Okay.
Okay. So is it D for Ducky?
Nope. And remember, I asked about Bert, not Ernie.
Okay. Is it B for Bert or E for Ernie?
Nope.
Okay. L for Lemon.
Nope.
L for Lumps in Your Oatmeal.
That's good. And I have a there's a future. Well, I won't say it, but I have a feeling Yes is going to get a particular question. But go on.
That is it. That is all of the suggestions we have.
I saw somebody said X.
X.
Gene.
Gene.
But that's still wrong. Perhaps Gene was thinking of X the Owl on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. No, but the correct answer is W. Why is it W, you ask? I just don't know. I don't know if they ever explained it on the show. But let's go into question number 2. What is the name of the Muppet on Sesame Street who is a fruit bat?
So if you know, put that in the chat. Also, if you have an idea of what W stands for and wrong guesses only, put that in the chat as well.
Right guesses are allowed too.
Okay.
Okay. Hit me up with another peanut gallery question.
So our next one comes from Las Vegas Jamie. What is your opinion on casinos that offer very few or no free hands when playing on Baccarat?
Do you understand the question?
No, because when I think of free hands, I'm just thinking no commission, but they don't do that unless you're playing the no commission game.
I'm not sure if that's what Jamie is referring to. To be honest, I don't understand what you're asking, but what a free hand is. So maybe you can rephrase the question and we'll take another stab at it later.
Okay, so our next question comes from Dalbrickson. He says, what is the most Greek thing about Christmas or Xmas?
Greek thing. There used to be a casino called the Greek Isles, but is that the one that burned down?
In Las Vegas?
Yeah. Let me
I don't know.
Let me look this up real quick. Okay. Insider VLV says, well, it looks like this website is very out of date because it seems to indicate it still exists. But I'm pretty sure that it's something else now. Okay, after foreclosure, Greek Isles Casino has new owner. Okay. Okay. Maybe it is still there. So this is a casino on Convention Center Drive, and it's a little one. It has just 202 rooms, and this article. This is from 2009 though. That's one thing tricky about reading news off the internet. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's current information. But just real briefly, I think just skimming titles, it looks like it may have changed names to the Clarion. So that little bit of Greekness is no more. Let's see. What about Greek restaurants? I know there's a Greek restaurant at the corner of Rainbow and Sahara. To be honest, I'm not positive it's Greek. It might be just general Mediterranean, which is pretty good. But to be honest, I don't think there's much Greekness to Las Vegas anymore. So if you're looking for that, well, of course there's Caesar's Palace. Now that has more of a Roman theme, but of course Roman art and all that was very influenced by Greek culture. So I think Caesar's Palace is as Greeky as you're going to feel in Las Vegas. And that is my answer to that one.
Let's do one more real quick. Is a slot wager saver feature chance of winning truly proportional to the amount left? If so, are there any advantage plays surrounding this feature?
Okay, I'm glad this got asked. So I think I have ranted on a previous live stream how if you're playing slot machines and you hit cash out and it gives you a voucher, and let's say for the sake of example, your voucher is $3.14. You take it to one of the machines to cash it out, and it will give you 3 $1 bills and another voucher for 14 cents. And if you put the 14 cents in, it will just spit out a different one. So you have to walk your 14-cent voucher all the way over to the cashier, stand in a line, and if you're me, you would end up behind somebody doing a 10-minute marker transaction to get your 14 cents. So it's very annoying. But what some casinos are doing and some machines right there is they'll say, do you want to take a gamble to round up your change to $1? And I think this is a great idea. I fully approved because I would rather have a 14% chance at $1 than be stuck with a 14-cent voucher that I don't want, and it's not worth 14 cents to me to go stand in line at the cage for. By the way, a lot of times what I will do with these 14-cent vouchers is I'll go to any fast food stand and put it in the tip jar, even if I'm not buying anything. But the question was, are the odds on these fair? And I do believe that they are. I can't say that with certainty, and I don't know why I think that, but for some reason, that is what I think. And if anyone has information to the contrary, I'd be very interested in it. Okay. And that's about as far as I can take that one. And no, I don't perceive any advantage play there.
Let's see if anyone answered the trivia question. Was it because Santa Claus was a Greek saint?
I thought he was German. Well, I thought that Santa Claus started out being Dutch, where his original name was Sinterklaas. But then his story kind of spread to Germany, where it morphed into something more like Santa Claus, and then it just spread around the whole planet. But I think Santa Claus was Dutch.
Okay. And Jan said the Greek chi looked a lot like an X, and that represents Christ itself. So that's how Greek and Christmas intermingle. Another one is W, what we were talking about before, what W is. It's clearly Wizard of Odds. Obviously.
Like that answer. Thank you.
I love it too. But what is the answer to the trivia? Because I'm not seeing much else. This one says Saint Nick was Turkish, actually.
You know, somehow I heard that Turkey figures into the story. But what I just said is the best I can do off the top of my head.
So what's the answer to the trivia?
The answer to the trivia, and again, the question was, which Muppet is a fruit bat? And the answer is...
Wait. That's my fault. I got confused. I had a couple of those. Before you tell us the answer, let me go back and let me say this, because people did answer this. And that was my fault for not doing that. So is it the Count? The Count is a bat and a fruity one too.
Nope.
Oh, it's not the Count.
It is not the Count.
Okay, and it's not a lamppost.
Nope.
Okay. And then we also had one more person say the counts. So, okay. Okay, who is it? Nobody got it. That's awesome.
No, the answer, and this character came along later, is Rosita. And her full name is Rosita la Monstrua de las Cuevas, which means Rosita the Monster of the Caves. So she kind of doesn't look like a fruit bat most of the time, but if she lifts up her arms, you can see her wings. And yeah, there's the answer, Rosita. To be honest, I didn't know that because I don't think she came along until the 2000s or 2010s, when I was much too old for the show.
Okay. Yeah, nobody in the chat got that.
Okay. How about, let's do another question. Okay, how about, okay, this is one I think somebody's going to get, but what is Bert's favorite food?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. Our next question is from Hurrah. He said, did Bob from Sesame Street die or something? Is that why we're doing this?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry if I didn't explain that. So yes, he died in the last week. He died on December 4th. So I guess it wasn't last week, but recently, since the last live stream, at the age of 90 of a stroke, and he had 5 children and 8 grandchildren.
Okay.
And he had been married to his wife Anne for 64 years.
Wow.
Yep. So yes, that's why we suddenly are honoring him with this trivia challenge on Sesame Street.
Okay. Our next question is actually a statement, and this is from Vince. Hey, just popping in to say hello. Merry Christmas to both of you. Got to get back to a staff party.
Hey, Vince. Thanks for dropping in. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Merry Christmas. Do you have anything fun planned for Christmas?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, just,
No, not going anywhere this year except for a few days in California to visit my mother. It's going to be a pretty mellow Christmas in the Wizard house, I think, which is fine with me. To be perfectly honest with you, I am not a Christmas person, and if given the choice, I would just skip the whole thing entirely.
I feel you. I am the same on that regard. I am not a big Christmas person, and I love it when I no longer have to hear Christmas music in stores.
Yeah, I can take the Christmas music. I really hate the traffic around this time. Like, I just went somewhere for lunch, and even though it was just a Thursday, December 15th, the traffic seemed like twice as bad as it usually is for that same time and day. And there's just kind of an aggressiveness to the traffic you can feel. So it's one of my complaints about it.
Isn't Las Vegas traffic aggressive, period?
I think for a city of its size of about 2 million, I think it's just average. In fact, I lived in Baltimore and I thought it was worse there.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. There was just not much respect for traffic laws there. And you may think people run red lights here. I mean, it was really bad in Baltimore. People would just keep going and going until finally there was like a gap, and then people would stop. But let's not go down that path.
Okay. So our next question comes from Las Vegas Jamie. Which online casino would you recommend to play Baccarat? Are online casinos safe and secure?
Well, that's certainly a big question. I will say that I think the vast majority of online casinos play a fair game. In other words, the cards would be dealt randomly and fairly according to the natural odds. Now, there are all kinds of horror stories about people making a deposit and then winning, or maybe just losing part of it and then cashing out, and the casino finding some technicality that they broke and then seizing all their money. In fact, there's a thread right now on my website about the casino iNetBet that accepted a player from Switzerland who won some money, and then when he tried to cash it out, they took all of it, not just his winnings, but the deposit too, and they said it's because players from Switzerland are not allowed. And to that, the player said that, this was a recent rule change that he wasn't aware of. And furthermore, he declared his country of origin when he signed up for his account, and they should screen for things like that. Because if you read the terms and conditions of these casinos, they are pages and pages and pages long. And I think it's that way deliberately, so people won't read them, making it more easy for them to find a technicality that the player didn't abide by. So yeah, that's an unfortunate downside to the industry. And this is what you get when internet gambling is illegal in most countries, that it gets done out of countries like Costa Rica and Curacao that have basically no regulation at all. So, and to move back to the first question, what casino would I recommend? I don't want to throw out any particular names, because the other people with the Wizard team are the ones that pick our advertisers, and we try to pick reputable ones. And so I would say that any casino that advertises on the Wizard sites at least meets our screening procedures. And if you have any trouble, there is a complaint resolution process you can go through at our sister site, lcb.org. So that is about as far as I could take that one, although I could talk about this topic for hours.
Okay. So let us see if anyone has any answers to our trivia question on what Bert's favorite food is. And unless it's oatmeal with lumps, I don't think we have any answers.
Oatmeal is indeed what I was looking for. I didn't know about the lumpiness being important to it. But there we go. Oatmeal with lumps. Good job, yes notes.
Nice. And before we do the next one, Save Me was asking what sort of bat the Count was. And they answered themselves, oh, yeah, it's a spiritual vampire bat. So
I don't think the Count is a bat. He's a human being.
He's a vampire. He turns into a bat. He's a vampire that turns into a bat.
Okay. Yeah, the vampire part makes sense. And I do know, according to some legends, that vampires can switch to bats back and forth, but not all of them. Okay, but I do not dispute. I should look into this real quick. But while I'm doing that, let's just Google this real quick while it's on my mind.
Okay.
Count Sesame Street.
Do you want to do two things at once, or you want me to wait?
Why don't you ask me another question?
Okay. So this is from Skill and Luck. Did you ever say how your interview went for the Craps for the Cure with John Pro Craps?
Okay. Before I answer that, description and personality. The Count's main role is to teach counting skills. Blah, blah, blah. The Count lives in an old cobweb-infested castle, which he shares with many bats, a wolf named Yuba, and a cat named Fatita. As a running gag, his castle has a squeaky door, blah, blah, blah. He is shown to have a number of girlfriends. He has a cloud hovering over him. I don't see anything here, though, that he can transform into a bat.
No, but the Count's a player? You're saying the Count's a player?
I'm saying that he's a vampire, but he's not a bat.
He has many girlfriends. That dude is a player.
Okay, yeah, I'm not up on the terminology. It says the count has been shown with a number of girlfriends who tend to be vampire countesses. These include Countess von Backwards, who counts backwards, Countess Darling von Darling, and one simply called the Countess. The Count family includes an unnamed brother and mother, as well as an uncle, Uno, and grandparents. And by the way, one thing I like about the Count is that he wears a monocle, much like me. But I never could understand how people keep monocles on their head, because I have to really squint to keep this on. It's very uncomfortable.
Lots of practice and lots of screening.
It would be easier if this monocle were bigger, but I still don't see how they do it. Like I've always wanted to meet Colonel Klink to ask him.
You've never met anyone in real life that had a monocle?
No.
Okay.
You know, one time I was at the swap meet and there was a guy running a jewelry stand and he used a monocle and I complimented him on it, but I don't think that I don't know. He didn't recognize me as a fellow monocle person. Okay, but you asked me a question about John, right? John
Yes,
Coco?
I'm thrilled to say that I know a monocle person because you were right here. Okay, so did you ever say how your interview went with the Craps for the Cure with John Pro Craps?
Yeah, so John had a craps telethon where he played craps for I think either 40, 48 or 72 hours straight, and he had various celebrities coming along that he interviewed, including me. And that went really well. I really liked John, and his whole crew of friends there were all very friendly, and I did magic tricks for them, and including on his show. And it all it was all very fun and enjoyable. And while I disagree with him and many of his friends about dice influence, you know, it was a friendly disagreement, and you know, we respect each other's opinions, and so I had a great time, and I would be happy to do something with John whenever he asks.
Very cool. Okay, and did you ask the next trivia question? Did we do that?
Okay, let's see. So I think I owe you guys a new question. What is the name of Big Bird's teddy bear? Okay,
so if you guys know the answer, put that in the chat. Our next question is from Jan. Hi, Wizard. Which search terms, books, or other resources would you recommend for financial or mathematical system modeling?
Well, you know, I just write my own simulations when I want to analyze a betting system, and I am not aware of anything off the shelf that does that kind of thing, to be honest with you. So sorry, I'm not much help with that one.
Okay.
And before I forget, I think we have 2 questions from the forum. So let's go to those real quick, okay?
Okay.
Okay, this one is more of a joke. What's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a bicycle and a well-dressed man on a unicycle?
So if you guys know that.
So I will let you guys chew on that, and let me go to the next question.
Okay.
Have you met Ski Wagoski, longtime compiler of Sigma Derby statistics and observations? Do you have any interest in gleaning more about this enduring piece of gambling technology? Do you think the programmers anticipated that everyone would always bet the 201 long shot every time? Okay, so for those who don't understand the question, there is this horse racing game that has been around for decades, and it's this mechanical thing that takes physical quarters and it pays out physical quarters. It's entirely mechanical. There's no card readers or Tito tickets or anything like that. It's all kind of like the same kind of technology that went into an old pinball machine. So as far as I know, there's only one of these left out there, and that is at the D on the second floor in downtown Las Vegas. There used to be several around Las Vegas, but they keep breaking down. And when they break down, there just are not spare parts to fix them, and casinos just get rid of them rather than fix them because they're also hog up a lot of space. And again, players can bet quarters in the game, so it's probably not a huge moneymaker. But I know the one at the D is well loved. And so the way it works is there's 5 horses, and the player bets on the quinella. In other words, the horses that come in first and second place in either order. And the payoffs range everywhere from about 3-4-1 up to, I believe you said 200, which I don't dispute. And I would love to see statistics on this game. I have compiled some of them, and I know that when there were several of them out there, they could be set to different payout percentages. But I don't have a great deal of data, so I'd be very interested to see whatever this gentleman has. And as to why people bet the 200, I don't really know. I find that kind of interesting. And, but I think that it's the same reason players make side bets, is they want a little hope of a big win. But I don't think that's all players bet. I think they also make some more, some bets too that have a higher chance of winning. So that's about as far as I can take that one. But no, I've never met the man, but I'd be happy to get an introduction if anyone wants to send him my way.
Okay. Should we take one more from our viewers?
Okay.
Okay. In a state lottery casino, does betting higher denominations have a higher payback percentage like in a regular casino?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. And New York comes to mind because I've been to the Aqueduct Casino out in Queens, and that one is indeed it's basically government controlled, but they have a private company that runs it. And I tend to think that they allow this private company to make their own decisions about that. But yeah, the short answer is basically I don't know.
Okay. And do you want to do one more question or see if anyone has any replies for the trivia?
Let's see if anyone has any replies to the trivia.
Okay. Intermittent says it must be Pokey. They're all named Pokey.
I pronounce that Pookie, but no,
Pookie.
That's not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
So Pokey is the Gumby's horse.
Ah, okay. And is the bear named Michael or Mikey?
Nope.
Okay. And looks like that's it.
Okay. No, the answer I'm looking for is Radar.
Oh, yeah. I don't think anyone guessing would have guessed that.
Asked what was the name of Radar's teddy bear on MASH, and he was never assigned a name on the show. So, but yeah, Radar was what I was looking for.
Okay.
And, okay, here's the next question. Which 2 people on Sesame Street got married on the show, but not in real life?
So if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat. Oh, yep. I would guess it would be Snuffleupagus and Oscar the Grouch.
Well, first of all, they were both male, and you might say.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, today that would be legal, but at the time, most of the history of the show, gay marriage was illegal in all 50 states.
It was a secret marriage. They had it in his trash can. Nobody knew.
That is a good explanation. But no, I'm looking for a marriage between 2, human characters, not Muppets.
Okay. While we are waiting, we have another question from our viewers. I don't know how adept you are when it comes to this question, but What is one of the best apps for sports betting in terms of accessibility with people who have disabilities? Entry level reward. I'm interested in any or all suggestions you may have.
I have never been asked that before. And my answer is I don't know. I'm sorry about that. You simply have stumped me on that one. But thank you for the compliment. By the way, that's very nice of you.
If anyone is watching and you guys know the answer to his question, put it in the chat and we'll get to that later. So our next question comes from I'm sure you don't want any answers about Count the Bat. So Bob was a dancer and singer in the Ring. Do you know Bob Dancer did singing in the Ring? That's where my mind goes.
Well, I think the last question was which two people got married on the show, so I'm not sure what he's referring to there.
Okay, so our next one is a math question. What speed would Santa's sleigh have to travel to successfully visit each and every house in the world in the space of 24 hours? That's a lot of houses.
The short answer to that is I don't know as well. He would get more than 24 hours because of the time zone changes. So he would get up to actually 47 hours because he could stay in a Christmas somewhere for almost 2 days. And this also gets to what's called the traveling salesman question, which is one of the great unanswered questions in mathematics, is that if you had shall we say, 100 random points on a unit circle or square or anything, is there a methodology you can use to find the shortest distance that connected all these points? And again, this is still unsolved. Some progress has been made about, shall we say, doing a cluster and then moving over and doing another cluster like that. So it would take quite a bit of math for Santa to figure out the shortest distance he would need to travel. But just off the top of my head, I would say that he would probably have to be going really, really fast. So the speed of light, that's like 100 and something thousand miles per second. So I think the speed would be under the speed of light. But I think it would be faster than any kind of man-made plane or rocket or anything like that. But yeah, again, short answer is I don't know.
Okay.
But Santa is magic, and you just have to take it on faith that he can. And before we do that, I asked the question, what is the difference between a poorly dressed person on a bicycle and a well-dressed person on a unicycle? And the answer is attire.
Okay.
Okay. Hit me with another question.
Okay, so our next question comes from Escott. How do the payback percentages on spin poker, ultimate X, or similar games compare to regular video poker?
I would say that on average they're about the same.
Okay, that was an easy one.
It all depends on the pay tables, but I tend to think that if the video poker, or should I say the slot manager, shall we say, likes a return of 99% for a certain denomination, that's just what he sets all his poker-based games to.
Okay.
More or less.
And
by the way, I don't think we had good closure on which two people got married on Sesame Street.
Do you want to do that? We have answers.
Okay.
Okay. So was it Louis and Maria?
Yes, it was Luis and Maria, but I will
Sorry,
give
Louise.
Jean their 90% of a point. And Luis,
Ooh.
by the way, I believe the actor who played Luis also died recently, like 6 months ago.
Oh,
Okay, but good job, Jean. And with that, let's segue into the next question. How about this one? When Oscar the Grouch was always in his trash can, but when he needed to go somewhere, how did he get there without leaving his trash can?
okay. So if you know the answer to that, put that in the chat. I'm saying it was his ATV.
I'm afraid not.
Ah, darn. Okay, so while we're waiting for people to answer that, our next question from viewers comes from Las Vegas Jamie, who said, Baccarat free hands with no bets on banker or player. Some casinos want you to play every hand. Do you have to play every hand when playing at the blackjack table?
Okay, I think I understand the question now. So a lot of Baccarat players do not bet every single hand. And if you ask them why not, they would say, well, I'm trying to find a trend in the shoe and I really don't have a good feeling about the next hand, so I'm not going to make a bet. And it might be that some Baccarat players might only bet maybe one hand in 4, 5, whatever. So they just sit there waiting. So it's a good way to slow play the game. In other words, to lose less money. And some players do it for comp purposes. In that, like, let's say they play for 4 hours, but they only play every other hand. In reality, they should only get rated for 2 hours, but a lot of casinos don't ding the player for the unplayed hands, so they would get the full 4 hours of credit. So it's a known advantage play to make casinos think that you're betting more than you really are, and this is a very simple and common trick to do that. There are many other tricks too. So I also can say that casinos know about this trick too. And if they're doing their jobs well, they should, for example, say to the player who only played half the hands and say, look, we're only going to give you credit for 2 hours because you weren't betting every hand. However, not every supervisor is on top of their job. And furthermore, some of them will look the other way if the player is tipping well. But now I forgot what was the question in the first place. Do you have to play every hand when playing at the blackjack table? At the blackjack table, they don't like players skipping hands. Now, you can always do that, like say, oh, I have to take this call. And as long as you step away from the table, they're not going to force you to play the hand. But they don't like it when you do that a lot at blackjack. But they're kind of used to it in Baccarat, and that's about all I can say about that one.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Completely common in Baccarat, not so much common in blackjack. It's not, you can do it. It's not like illegal for you not to do it. I mean, you can do it. I would just say that if you have a full table and you're not playing every hand, they're going to be like, well, we have people waiting on this table who want to play every hand. So you need to leave so someone who could play every hand could get in there. Mm-hmm. So if it's busy, it matters because you'll get kicked off the table for someone who does play every hand.
Yep.
Okay. So our next question is from Adapter. It seems like the wager saver on games like Lightning Link never hit a winning spin when you win the last chance. So it's as seen in so many YouTube videos, since it really does hit. Is this just a coincidence?
This is the first I've heard this accusation. And I would be interested to learn more about it. But I would be very happy to put this to the test. And I'm quite sure that it would, I'm quite sure it would show that it's a fair, the wager saver thing is fair. But, I'm always big on testing anything. Theories were meant to be tested. So I might look into this after the live stream and see what I come up with. But I would be happy to put this to the test.
Okay. And then should we see if anyone has any answers to the trivia, or would you like to do another question?
Let's see if there's any answers to the trivia. And
Okay.
and as a reminder, the question was, how did Oscar the Grouch get anywhere when he was confined to his trash can?
And was it with a garbage truck?
Not exactly.
Okay. How about the subway?
Nope. I don't recall a subway station on Sesame Street.
So it looks like that is all of the answers we have.
The answer is that he got Bruno, the trash man, to lift up the trash can and take it to wherever he wanted to go.
Rob got that one. I missed that.
Sorry, Rob. You get the point.
Woo, good job, Rob. Very nice.
Good job, Rob Carnage.
Okay, so what is our next trivia question?
Okay, how about which Muppet has autism?
Oh, so if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. I have a guess, but I'm actually not sure if it's right or not.
You can always put it in the private chat.
Okay, so am I correct?
No.
Okay. So our next question comes from, what is your stance on people who tell children Santa Claus isn't real?
I agree with them, to be honest with you. I have never told my kids Santa Claus was real. I have always kind of treated it as just like a myth. I've never said anything like Santa Claus rides around in a sleigh and will deliver us presents overnight. I have never once lied to my kids about Santa Claus, but I never specifically said he didn't exist either. I don't think it wouldn't surprise me if kids today just don't believe it anymore. I don't know what other parents are doing, but I tend to think, in knowing other parents myself, I never overheard them talking about Santa as if he was real. And I'd like to think that I'm a truthful person, and I think it sets a bad example to lie to kids about this, and they're going to find out the truth eventually. So so I would actually agree with that parent who said that Santa Claus is not real, although I prefer to just not address the subject at all and let the kids believe what they want to believe.
I agree with you on that. I think kids should not be lied to. They shouldn't be told, straight to their face, like, oh yeah, you're not. Of course, this is completely logical that a man would visit every single house, in one night. I mean, that's a bold-faced lie. And I heard something the other day that I think is worth mentioning. A great way to do this is, if you want to tell your children that, Santa Claus exists and then wean them off of it, a great way to do it is whatever toys that they're really excited about that they want to get, you get them as the parent. And then anything that they need, like socks, underwear, clothes, stuff that they're not really excited about, say that that's from Santa Claus. So that way, by the time you tell them that Santa Claus isn't real, they're like, yeah, I hate that dude. That dude never gets me what I want. He always gets me this like crap and everything. And it's a lot easier to wean them off of Santa Claus that way. Okay, do you want another question, or should we see if anyone answered the trivia?
I wanted to talk more about Santa, that last question. So I know that a kid once wrote in to Ann Landers, who was an advice columnist, asking her if Santa Claus was real. And I've never liked her answer. And dang these pop-ups. I hate websites where you have to click on their pop-up to read anything. Um, yeah, I can't find it real quickly, but way back when, like probably in the 60s, some kid wrote to Ann Landers and simply asked, is Santa Claus real? And she had this vague answer about, as surely as the Christmas spirit is real, so is Santa Claus, and made all these vague comments like that, as if to say Santa Claus was just like another term for Christmas spirit. And but it's something that any adult would get what she's trying to do. But I think that in terms of kids' language, that she was absolutely perpetuating a myth and lying to children. And and I don't like that. I think that if a kid asks you a question, you shouldn't use trick language to lie to the kid. If it say wasn't your kid and you didn't feel it was your place to burst his bubble, you could just say, people have different beliefs about that. I personally don't believe in him, but maybe I'm wrong. Something like that. So anyway, I have strong feelings about it. So thanks for letting me get that off my chest.
I love that we can hear you rant. I like hearing your rants.
Oh, I had a rant I was going to do, by the way. I know we're running low on time, but I went to a restaurant called the Mona Rosa in downtown Las Vegas. That means the Pink Monkey. And after eating, I noticed there was a 5% service charge on my bill. And I didn't see any kind of signage or anything warning me about a service charge. And I was in a bit of a rush. So I thought that if this 5% fee is a service charge, that must mean that the server is going to get it. So I reduced my tip by 5% and left the money on the table and walked out the door without explaining why I was appearing to be such a stingy tipper. And then I brought this up on my forum, and people wrote in about it, and most felt as I did, that this is really unethical, but unfortunately not illegal, that restaurants can tack on fees when you get the bill without really clearly warning you about it before you order anything. So I sent an email to the restaurant stating that I thought it was dishonest to charge this 5% without telling the customers. And he wrote back saying that it was a mistake, that there is a mechanism that if there is a private party, that they do charge this 5% extra. And they forgot to unset it when they opened for the day. And he was a little bit apologetic about it, but he didn't offer me anything. But I don't think he needed to, because I already punished the waitress for it. So the lesson to be learned from this is, especially in Las Vegas, check your bill for add-on charges. And this is not the only place that does this. A lot of the Caesars properties do this at their restaurants, and they call it like a strip concession fee. And if you see this, ask to talk to the manager and complain about it. And I bet you they remove it from the bill.
I've seen this from a few other restaurants as well, and it always made me mad. I always felt like it was they were taking a lesson from hotels with all of their fees, and they're like, well, if they could do it, we could do it.
Yeah, it's absolutely dishonest. If they have in a large sign to make it clear, okay. But at the case of the Caesars restaurants, it's in fine print at the bottom, mixed in with a bunch of stuff like pregnant women should not eat raw seafood. We charge an extra 5%, and and other things that nobody ever reads. So anyway, thank you for letting me rant about that. And with that, let me explain the secret to the magic trick.
Yes.
So here's how you do it. Let me move the camera again. Okay, so here's what happened is someone ripped up the card, they put it in, and then you close the lid, and then you discreetly have to flip it over. Try to watch their eyes, and when they're looking straight at you, just flip it over. And then you open it, and it reveals a different card.
Oh my gosh.
There was this other card, you might ask. It's basically a secret compartment. See this thing here? This is basically just a kind of like a shelf that fits in exactly. And when you flip it over, you will see whatever is on the other side of it. So,
wow.
And the way you set this up is have both cards facing the top or the bottom of the box. So I'll put this one, and again, have the back side facing towards you. This card is a little too big, by the way. Then you put in this, I don't know what to call it, a shelf, and then you put in the other card, and again, face up. And then, so you open it this way. Of course, it's still the 5 of hearts, but I just flip it over. And again, this card is too big, but it would be the Joker. So it's that simple. Why am I telling you this? It's because this is an old trick. I got this in a kid's kit of magic tricks. Now, there are a lot of very expensive tricks that are basically the same thing as this. But secret compartments are, one of the staples in magic. And this is just a very simple way to do it. So very simple trick, super easy to do. I haven't done this to too many people, but I've had good responses from those that I did do it to.
That's so cool. I love that. I love learning magic tricks and everything. They seem so simple once you understand it and know it.
Yeah. And just about any trick where they saw a woman in half or anything like that, those usually involve secret compartments too. They're just, in different places, but and there's often mirrors involved. But just a simple common concept in magic.
That's really cool.
And I only tell this not to ruin anything for magicians out there, is I'm trying to just spread, some of my joy about magic. And Penn and Teller do this too. They do explain some of their magic tricks, and they tend to do it for only things that are kind of common knowledge. I'm not out there ruining every magic trick. So I'm trying to strike a balance here.
Now, do you want to answer any more questions? And if not, Shane was asking, can we email questions to you? How can we ask you questions that's not the AMA?
Okay, so you can go to the Wizard of Odds and click Contact Us and send it that way. But I prefer people go to Wizard of Vegas, my forum, and there's a thread called Wizard on Livestream, and you can submit it there. That's how I did the 2 questions we answered this show. And I always answer the questions that are posted at Wizard of Vegas.
I didn't know you had a thread on about our live streams, and I saw it the other day, and it's like 80 pages, and people are like talking about what we were saying and everything, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe people are actually like, I can't believe there's 80 pages about this.
Well, to be honest, we've had so many live streams that, in fact, let me see. The last one This is our 84th live stream.
Wow, we're almost in the hundreds. That's impressive.
We should do something for the 100th.
Yes, that would be fun. Celebrate good times. Come on.
So if we
when
have
is
them every 2 weeks, that would be in 2 years.
And the next one is in 2 weeks?
No, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Let's do the next one on January 5th.
Okay, so join us on January 5th, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The earlier you get in your questions, the more likely we will be able to get to them. If it's a little bit later, we might not be able to get to them. And are you doing anything fun for the holiday season? Climbing any mountains, or I don't know, jumping out of a plane, or doing anything like James Bond style?
Yeah, I'm afraid not. I do have a couple rappelling trips planned in the next week and a half. But, it's just local stuff, trips that I've done before. And I'm going to visit my mother between Christmas and New Year's. And yeah, I'm afraid no big adventures in the near future. But I do want to say, since I'm not going to see you guys for 3 weeks, I want to say to you, Heather, and the whole audience, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Have a festive Kwanzaa and whatever other holidays I might be forgetting about, the first day of winter. Whatever you celebrate, I hope you enjoy it. And it's you get out of it what you wanted to. And thank you all for coming and participating in the show and your questions. And I apologize to those who asked questions that we didn't have time to get to.
Yeah. On behalf of everybody who is watching who can't answer, thank you so very much. And we hope that you have a great holiday season as well. I guess that means we'll see you next year.
Yep, I'll see you in 2023.
Sounds cool. Have a great rest of the 2022.
You too. Bye.